Hey everyone, Duke here. Today we're going to be talking about VPUs, but not just any VPUs. We're going to be talking specifically about the M7A1 amplifier for the M45 series masks, or M45 mask. So, I bet you're looking at all of these and saying, wow, I didn't know all of these can work with the M45. Well, unfortunately, that's where you're wrong. I have two examples here that are not the M7A1 to give you an example of what does not fit the M45 mask and sort of demonstrate why it doesn't. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Moulage for finding me this M7A1. These are extremely hard to find complete, if at all, incomplete, and he was very miraculous to find one in a surplus store in Kentucky, so big shout out to Moulage for sending me this. I appreciate it deeply, and also a forward thanks to a special someone who actually found one for sale in Germany, who is currently sending it to me. That one I'm going to give back to Moulage, so we each have one for both of our M45s. But I would like to go out on record and say, if you find one of these, do not install these rings. This is an original M45 voice projection unit adapter ring, and let me just tell you, these can only be installed once. Only once. You can never undo them, and you can try. But these things, once they're on, these fuckers are tight. I actually have, some of you may know about the cast replica rings that I make. Here's a example of it where I used a blend of resin that was a bit too squishy. These are, obviously this one's shitty cast resin. These are made out of, I believe, nylon 612. I could be wrong. There's some type of nylon or possibly ABS, more than likely nylon. And these are much firmer. You can't squish these. These are very rigid, very solid. And so even with my polyurethane resin replicas, attempting to remove them has often been very fatal. As you can see, they'll split, or in worst cases, they'll just split in two entirely. And these are undyed ones. Usually the ones that I add the resin dye to, they're even more brittle, and they'll just shatter as soon as you try and take them off. So never mind removing these if you get your hands on one. So that's my word of advice right off the bat. Don't install one of these. I'm not even going to install this one on mine because I'm currently working on replicas, which I'll show the progress of where I currently am at the end of the video and give you an idea where that's coming along. Me and Moulage are going to get an injection molding, a benchtop injection molder set up, and I'm going to have a replica mold CNC milled. The cast resin replicas, I'd been previously using a mold made by Retro Respirators, who was kind enough to donate the mold to me as partial payment for the C48R1 restoration I'm currently working on for him, and I don't know when the hell that's going to be finished. I'm currently need new parts for that, but that's neither here nor there. So back to this, I'm going to be having an aluminum mold CNC milled, and it's going to be an injection mold. We're going to make proper replicas of these, so once again, I cannot stress, if you find one of these, don't install it. You're never going to be able to get it off intact. So it's better to leave the originals fully intact where they can be preserved, because once they're gone, they're gone. But anyways, onto the VPUs. So the M7A1 VPU was introduced at the request of US SOCOM for a more lighter weight, more compact voice projection unit over the original M7 VPU, which some of you may know is chunky as shit. It is like literally 2 times the size of this. And they also requested features such as a dummy cord to prevent the VPU from being dislodged and lost if it were to fall off the mask due to blunt trauma or something like that. And they also added the capability of using two AAA alkaline batteries over the chunkier 9-volt that the M7 used. And instead of merely amplifying your voice to ungodly loud levels, this more or less just amplified your voice to normal talking levels. So that being said, what makes the M7A1 different from these other two? Because over here I have the VP3000 made by AudioPack. This is also, the M7A1 is also made by AudioPack, hence the recycled casings. And then I have the ever popular MSA ESP2 amplifier. So what are you going to look for in an M7A1? First of all, they're going to typically come with the adapter ring, and sometimes they don't. A lot of the time, these are going to be police buyback. Like sometimes police will buy these for, or they used to, for MSA Millenniums, and they'll just throw away the rings, and that's why the rings are so rare to find. But occasionally, if you're lucky and God is shining in your graces, you will find one with a ring, and this is to obviously allow the amplifier to be used with the M45 mask, as these were designed to also be used with the M40 MCU and so on masks, where it has the standard metallic voice emitter, whereas the M45s have a much smaller plastic voice emitter, obviously. But the main thing you're going to be looking out for, obviously, is the dummy cord, which is a little loop of piano wire, which obviously loops around the canister threads so that if the amplifier were to become dislodged, like I mentioned, it would just hang off the mask, you wouldn't lose it. On to the next point. Another thing you're going to be looking for is this blue-gray cushion. None of the other VPUs here have this cushion. For instance, the VP3000 has a much thicker cushion, and the reason it's thicker is to impinge upon the surface of the much deeper voice emitters of the M40, MCU, Millennium, Advantage 1000, etc. And that's the same deal with the MSA ESP2. Both of these have this thicker black cushion, and that's kind of the rule of thumb. If it has a black cushion, it's more than likely not for an M45. The M7A1 will have a blue-gray cushion. Sometimes they can be sort of a darker shade. I know the ones on aonfox.com, which you shouldn't buy from anyways because he's kind of a scammer and he overprices shit, but nevertheless, his are interesting because his don't have this little diaphragm button up here. If you look closely, there is a switch. If I can get zeroed, give me 1 second. Give me another couple seconds. As you can see there's a little button right here that when it's depressed against the surface of the voice emitter, or obviously the adapter ring, it will turn the unit on or off. So even if you have the unit on, unless it's installed on the mask, unless the switch is depressed against the mask, it will not function. For instance, I could switch it on, but nothing happens. But as soon as I press this, it's on. So keep that in mind. The ones on A1 Fox don't seem to have that switch, so there is a couple variants of these. And also, mine is very interesting because mine seems to be the only one I've seen so far with this stippled, these tabs on the side here, these clips. Most of them are going to be like this, where they're striped, like this. I don't know why mine is more like the MSA ESP2s here. This is, in fact, the only one of the M7A1s that I've seen that have this weird pattern on the tabs, but most of the time M7A1s will have this lined pattern, and that is to have a set of rubber O-rings which actually go over this, and the purpose of those rubber O-rings is they prevent these clips from being depressed so that it makes it more difficult for the VPU to fall off. But also to give you a comparison, the M7A1s will always have a marking that says something like B-81045J and then a serial number right there. The VP3000s will have something completely different. So just to give you a comparison of the two serial numbers there, obviously the M7A1s will have that 181045J number. Otherwise everything else is explicitly the same. I'll give you a closer look at the dummy cord. And then there is the battery pack there with the NSN. Nothing's really different about that between models, although on the MSA ESP2 they completely covered over that with their own little sticker. And obviously the MSA ESP2s have an entirely different front grille assembly than either the M7A1 or the VP3000. And the VP3000s are something you especially have to watch out for because, as you can see, if you're just looking at them front on, they look identical. It's the exact same grille pattern, exact same everything. Literally all you're looking out for is that blue-gray cushion and that dummy cord and potentially a diaphragm switch up there. So just to give you an example of those three different diaphragms there, that's pretty much all I have to say. I hope that gave you some indication of what to look out for with these. The M7A1s are becoming very hard to find, as I mentioned. I know that there's one seller in Germany who somehow keeps getting a hold of these, and he keeps reselling them at more and more egregious prices, so you'll have to look on German eBay if you want to potentially get one of these, and good luck getting one because German eBay is really fucking stupid, and most of the time they do not ship to the United States, so you'll have to do what I do and get a European proxy buyer and deal with that whole mess. So be prepared to pay a handsome amount of money, somewhere around like 160 this time for me. It may be more for you because the seller keeps raising the damn price. Or you could just be lucky and hunt around in surplus stores like Moulage did and manage to find one. But again, I cannot stress it enough. Do not install these rings. Do not install them. Just wait for me to make the replicas. They'll be out relatively soon. I'll keep you guys posted. So that being said, I hope you enjoyed. If you have any comments, questions, corrections, or concerns, drop them down in the comment section below. I'm Duke, and I will see you all later.